Russia want to make it visa-free for you to go visit them. Are you interested? What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing good. It's a beautiful day. Thank you very much for stopping by. You are very much appreciated. I know some of you don't know me. This is the first time. My name is Zack, and I love you. We don't know who we are, but surely if you watch this video until the end, we're going to love each other. Here we talk about many things. Like we talk about Africa, the continent. We talk about the diaspora. We talk about things that concern us. Above all, we do talk about geopolitics on our perspective because we are tired of the mainstream media lies. You know, some people listen to CNN and BBC and stuff, and some other people listen to RT, which is great, but everybody has their own propaganda, right? They all, after all, fighting for their own interest. So it is crucial for us to have our own voices. Not that we can compete right now already with them. I mean, unless you send me a few $1 million, then I can set up an office and stuff like that. But for now, I'm sure because YouTube gives us an opportunity, we can talk like adults and understand where we are. So this is a very interesting story, and you have to watch this to understand. Russia is opening up its border to Africans. Congratulations. Yay. Now, you guys that always want to go to Europe, you want to go live in Europe, you're going to go to Russia and live in Russia. Isn't Russia Europe? Or Russia is not that Europe that you like. You prefer Britain, Germany, Denmark, France, and stuff like that. You don't like the Russians. I've been to Moscow before. It's a beautiful place, but very cold. Of course, I'm an African. And yeah, Africa is very hot. So going to Russia when everything was frozen on the floor, the floor was literally frozen. There was ice. That was my very first time to see ice on the floor, like ice on the ground. And I was going to a McDonald's, I'll never forget, walking to a McDonald's in Moscow. And there was these two beautiful Russian girls walking out of the McDonald's with mini skirts while we were freezing, shivering, like, oh, mini skirts, walking out like, Меня зовут Angela. Like, with mini skirts. I was shocked. But when you're born into that, it doesn't bother you. Just like some of us are born into, we eat some food that stinks, we don't smell it anymore. And when white people say your food stinks, you say it's racist. Anyway, let's get back on track. In Moscow, they're preparing agreements on a visa-free regime with 9 countries in Africa. Congratulations. The Russians are really looking to open the borders because they feel like they need to have allies. They need to have friends. Because the Europeans don't want them, clearly, even though they have very similar skin color. They're now looking towards Africans. That's why I'm telling you, fellas, your brothers are not necessarily people of the same color as you. I'm just saying, your brothers are people that prove you brothership or brotherhood. Brotherhood is a proven thing. That's why people that look like you are the people that unalive you. Thomas Sankara, Thomas Sankara? Great guy from Africa, from Burkina Faso. He was unalived by his friend. This is his friend. Look at them. Look at the picture. Good mates. They spoke about anything. That's the guy that unalived him so he could take his power. Look at Lumumba. You heard of Lumumba? This is Lumumba. Now, this guy right here, this is Mobutu. His mate. In fact, Lumumba trained Mobutu. Lumumba was a big fighter over colonialism. He fought against the white man. Mobutu, who was his friend, who he taught politics, unalived him so he can take power. So brotherhood is not limited to skin color. Your brother can be somebody different, but somebody that supports you. So the Russians are opening the door to Africans because they feel like Africa is the future. Moscow already has visa-free regime for a few countries in Africa. Like Mozambique, you don't need a visa to go to Russia. Okay? Do you know that? Angolans don't need visa to Russia. Malawi don't need visas to Russia. Sao Tome and Principe, Tunisia, Morocco. You just open a flight and boom, all the way to Moscow and you can go drink vodka. I mean, I don't drink, but yeah, some of you do drink. So Russia has been investing quite a lot in Africa because clearly if your people don't like you, they're pushing you away. And let me put it this way for you, the Europeans are pushing Russians away because Russians' mentality are different than Europeans. The Russians have kept a tradition. They're very strong as men, they're very strong. I always say if there was to be a World War III with just fists and kicks, who's going to win the World War III? Guess it. The Russians are going to win because they're extremely strong human beings and they've kept the nature. These guys go bath in a minus 10 degree or 20 degree. I'm telling you, minus 20 degree water. They go submerged. Look at these guys. Now, how can you become a woman with this type of mentality? It's not possible. That's why they're strong, and that's why they don't like men who act like they're not men. You know, those men that act like they're not authorized in Russia. Now, should we blame them for that? I don't know. And that's why the Europeans don't like them, because they kept their culture that way. Man, woman, family. That's how they think. And they feel more closer to Africans, because most Africa are father, mother, and children, except South Africa, where things is different. Anyway. So there are plenty of Africans that live in Russia. Lots of students go study in Russia. Why? Because I know many of them would have loved to go study in America, in France and stuff, because the visa procedure is just complicated. They don't want you there. So many people turned away. They want to go to Russia to get better education. And up to 2022, there was about 33,000 students from African countries studying in Russia in higher education institutions. Very interesting. Many of them live peacefully, have no issues. Obviously, you find here and there some incidents that are sort of racist, but it's not. It's not like America, where you can't even drive a car when you're black. They're going to stop you and ask you driver's license and registration. It feels like you go, oh, am I going to be on the lives? That's a real problem in America. And that's why the world needs Russia, because you don't get such thing in Russia where the police stops you and ask you for drivers and registrations and stuff. I mean, as soon as you speak Russian with them, you go, oh yeah, you're from here. It's okay. In America, you can speak English with an European-American policeman, and you're still going to probably not get out of their life. That's crazy. And they talk about democracy. So many years ago, about 400,000 African students were studying in the Soviet Union. In fact, when Africa gained independence from colonialism, the Soviet Union offered scholarship to young people from these nations. So about 400,000 Africans studied in Russia at that time. Okay, and between 1950 and 1990, and it was a lot, 400,000 people. And obviously, many of them got involved with Russians. Some got married, some made babies. And there's a lot of mixed race children from African descent that live in Russia. The mixed race African descended children were called festival children because of their appearance and the timing of their birth. So there are many mixed race African Russians. And let me remind you here again, Russia played a major role during colonialism. They supported many African countries. I'm not doing a promotion of Russia. I don't give a continental about Russia, really. I'm not no, not at all. I'm just saying, when things are good, we need to talk about them. When things are bad, you need to talk about them. When you don't need to be paid by somebody to say good things about them. I'm just saying, okay? If you can complain, you can also praise. And Russia is not perfect. Yes, there are racist, some area, places, all of it. But I'm just saying, I'm stating fact. I'm not inventing anything. You can go check this stuff in the books. Are African Americans in danger in their own country, facing the police? Absolutely. That's why you created Black Lives Matter, right? Did I create Black Lives Matter? I didn't. You did. Why did you do it? Because you're feeling in danger and neglected. There's no such thing as Black Lives Matter in Russia. Number two, historically, during colonialism, when they took over Africa, Russia was at least the only most powerful country that was not involved in coming into taking over African nations. No, they didn't. While the French dominated West Africa and the British some other African countries, the Russians were not involved. Matter of fact, the Russians helped many African nations to free themselves. They sent weapons to Angolans to fight against colonialism. They sent weapons to South Africans. They sent weapons to Zimbabweans. They helped many Africans free themselves. In 1994, while South Africa was still under the shock of apartheid and Western nations supported the apartheid regime, Russia was not involved. They were not interested. And when you think about that, you can understand why many African nations moved toward Russia while they were calling for the world to stand against Russia when Russia went into Ukraine in the United Nations. So once again, Russia is opening its door for visas. I know some of you don't like your countries. You want to go to Morocco to cross the Mediterranean Sea, which is absolutely insane. Now you can go to Russia. Let's go check Russia first, see how you can manage the cold. And you never know. Maybe you may be hired as a scientist or engineer. Don't you have qualifications? You just want to go to other people's country with no qualification and you expect to have a better life. Come on. Again, before we finish, we need to understand Russia has been projecting a lot of investment in Africa. And currently they are investing into nuclear power in many countries like Egypt, South Africa, Nigeria. They've invested into hydropower. Russia has invested in hydropower projects in several African countries, such as Ethiopia and Mozambique. They've invested in oil and gas. Russia's explored opportunities for oil and gas exploration developing in Africa. Everybody needs a friend, but a friend that's pushing you forwards, that's helping you get better. Nobody needs a friend who's going to tell them how to live their life. You need to allow a man to be with other men. I'm just saying, These are the type of people you should be marrying. No, that's not what people want. People need money, funding, infrastructure, development, technology. They don't need you to come and tell them how they should live life. Like they've done in Uganda. Always a pleasure. Don't leave without dropping your comment. We need your comment, fellas. YouTube say most of you guys watch videos, but you don't comment and you don't subscribe. Why? Don't you like me? But I like you. Do you want this to disappear? Let's make it make sense. God bless.